practice starts on the Missouri Valley Conference campus and converges under the gleaming reflection of Arch Madness. Don't miss the 2017 State Farm MDC Men's Basketball Championship, March 2nd through 5th at Scott Trade Center, presented by Aetna and Fox Sports Midwest. Get your tickets and get on the road to Arch Madness as 10 Missouri Valley teams battle it out for a final march to Selection Sunday. Get your tickets and get to St. Louis for Arch Madness.
And we do have our first coach on the line with us. It's Greg Lansing of Indiana State. The Sycamores opening up the tournament with the first game of the tournament on Thursday at 6 o'clock Central, playing Evansville in one of three matches from the regular season finale. Both of those teams met last Saturday to end the regular season. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Greg Lansing to the line. Good morning, Greg.
Morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Jim Dandy.
Well, let's talk about playing Evansville again. Probably no revelation since the last game on Saturday, but give us a brief preview of the game, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, we got them in overtime here and had a two-pointer. They made a couple free throws at the end of the game to get us there, so it's been two really good games, two hard-fought teams. We have tons of respect for them, obviously in-state rival, and just how hard Marty gets them to play, and guarding them's tough, and so nothing you do at either end is easy, and it stinks you play them and then got to play them right away. But like I told Marty, let's not do this next year on Thursday. Let's change that up. But we are where we're at, and we're gonna get ready to go here in these next couple of days.
Thank you, Coach. Just getting out of questions from the media for Coach Greg Lansing.
Press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star 1 for questions. Our first question comes from the line of John Title with HD.com.
Hi, Coach. I just wanted to ask about preparation. When you're in an 8-9 game with a 6:05 p.m. start, and then you might be playing Illinois State the next day at 12:05 p.m., I understand it's important to focus on the task at hand, but how do you worry about the task that's not at hand the next day?
Well, thanks, John. You're right. I'm not concerned about Friday in the slightest. We know we got our hands full on Thursday night. We've all been in tournaments. This is a unique situation if you're fortunate enough to win. When I was at Iowa, I was part of a staff that was the first time 4-game in 4 days winner when we won the Big Ten tournament. So I've been through some different things like that, and you worry about what you worry about. If you're lucky enough to keep playing on Friday, you're fortunate, and I don't think it has a huge effect on the guys by any means. Marty might have a different take on it, but all we're concerned ourselves with is Thursday night.
Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Hey, Greg, I know you don't want to be playing on Thursday night, but talk a little bit just about the enjoyment you do have coming to St. Louis at the end of the year.
Oh, it's just the best. I've in the Big Ten for 7 years, and believe me, the Missouri Valley staff, Doug, and everybody just does an unbelievable job. This takes no backseat to any conference tournament. It's a lot of fun getting there, staying there. It's close for us, so we always get a good core group of fans down there. Our guys love it. It's just a very, very exciting time, and I love watching all the games. You know, it's hard when you're in it because you got to prepare for your opponent, but Arch Madness for a reason. It's a wonderful event in a great city and a great venue. The people of St. Louis have just been unbelievable and taking great care of all of us, and it's a great time of year. And yeah, Thursday, you don't want to play on Thursday, but we are what we are. We did that. We weren't good enough this year to do any better than that. There's a bunch of school, after Illinois State and Wichita, there's a bunch of other guys battling like crazy to see if they can knock off one of those guys. But it's the best time of year. It really is, Harry.
You have a handful of guys from the St. Louis area. Do you prepare them any differently for coming home and having hometown fans around? Their home fans around.
No. I mean, I think they're excited. They maybe ask for a few more tickets because they got some people that are a little closer. They don't have to make the long drive. But I know Jordan Barnes' mom hasn't missed a game all year. She even went to Utah State, so it's. Those families will be there. We're looking forward to it. It's always nice to see them roaming around the lobby and hanging out with their son. Obviously don't get to do that a ton during the year, but it's a great area. I'm glad that we're recruiting in there, and I'm glad we're getting good kids out of there, and it's only going to continue.
Thanks, Greg. Good luck.
Thanks, Harry.
Again, press star followed by the number 1 for questions.
Coach, looks like that's it. Thanks for your time. Good luck in St.
Yep.
Louis. We'll see you in a couple days.
See you soon.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Next coach with us is Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. The Panthers are the 3 seed. They will be playing Missouri State in the last game on Friday night at 8:30 Central. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Ben Jacobson to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Yeah, good morning, Mike.
Yeah, your season was a little awkward, as you know. An 0-5 start, an 0-3 finish, not what you wanted in the end in the beginning, but certainly the middle was really good. Missouri State coming in with 2 straight losses. Talk about the Bears briefly, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Yeah, in terms of our deal, I was really, really pleased, really proud of the guys for, in particular, Jeremy and Jordan and a couple of the other older guys to get our defense turned around. And I know I've talked about that quite a bit on the call each week. To get ourselves in position to have that run in the middle. now in the last 10 days, we haven't been as sharp. We haven't defended at the same high level, and we haven't rebounded the basketball very well. So we're going to have to play a lot better, a lot harder, with quite a bit more toughness come Friday night when we see Paul and his guys.
Thanks, Jake. Let's get now to questions for Coach Ben. Questions from the media.
To ask Coach a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your first question comes from the line of Todd Hefferman with the Southern newspaper.
Hi, Ben. I know you have, I'm sure, more important things to worry about the officiating, but with the consortium this year, is there a part of you that's wondering what you might see? You may have 3 officials you haven't seen all season at the tournament.
Todd, I have not even thought about it. To be completely frank with you, I haven't even thought about it. So I wouldn't be able to give you, other than trying to come up with a quick answer for you, I wouldn't be able to give you a good one because I haven't even thought about it.
And then this year, I believe the Basketball Rules Committee was allowing conferences to use 6 fouls for the tournament or at any point. Has there been any push by NCAA coaches, or is that something that you're in favor of, or coaches are generally would like to see 6 fouls per player per game?
I haven't heard that from anybody. Other coaches. I haven't been in conversation with other coaches about going to 6 fouls. Some of the other things that were put into play 2 years ago. Some of the things, the shot clock. Potentially moving that down to 24 seconds. Some of those I've talked with some guys about, but I haven't talked about that one. And thinking about it right now, I don't know that I'd be in favor of 6 fouls. I think they've moved in a good direction with some of the things that have come in terms of the hand checking and the post play and. It's cleaned the game up and it's made it a better game from an offensive standpoint, trying to get some freedom of movement and so I think I'd rather see the rules enforced as they are and as opposed to going to 6 fouls.
Thanks.
Yep.
Your next question comes from the line of John Title with HT.com.
Hi, Coach. Just wanted to ask you about your success in this tourney. So 2015, you come in as a top 15 ranked team and win it. And then 2016, you come in as a 19 and 12 team and win it. I'm sure it's due to great coaches and great players and everything, but is there something extra that we're missing in terms of why you've been able to have so much success in this tourney?
Oh, I think for sure that the second one you mentioned, and in terms of having the right players, having the right team put together. The other thing I would tell you, 2 years ago, and with that season, the way the year had gone, we were 16-2 in the league, and had a bunch of momentum, going into the conference tournament. And last year, after a tough start, we had the same thing going. We only lost once in the last, I don't know if it was 10 or 11 games of conference play. So again, we were really playing well and had some momentum along with the right group of guys and I think that's probably the 2 biggest things from our standpoint is we've had experience in that tournament. We've got with our program. We've usually got guys back, and we've usually got guys that are 4th and 5th year guys when we've had our better teams. So between a couple of those things, I think that's why we've had success down there. And this year we'll have to, we had a ton of momentum in the middle of the year. The last 10 days we haven't played as good, so we're going to have to generate a little bit of momentum, this week through our practices and through what we talk about, so that we've got a chance this year.
Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Hey, Jake, Jeremy's numbers, I've been able to watch you guys a little bit, but his numbers have dropped off here late in the year, and I know he's played a ton of minutes. Do you equate those 2 things together, number one, and then number 2, having a good break between now and the start of the tournament, does that maybe give him a little extra energy?
Yeah, I think so. To the second part of your question, Harry, I think having a little more time here before Friday, gives us a chance to to do some things in terms of grabbing a little more rest for him. But in saying that, with Jeremy, with Clint, with Jordan, with Bennett, those guys for the most part have gotten an extra day off each week. So we haven't practiced those guys every single day or every opportunity that we've had. We've done that in the past. We've worked hard to make sure that our guys that are playing heavier minutes get some time off their feet during the week. And so I think Jeremy's doing good. I don't think he's unlike too many other guys that that are juniors and seniors and a little bit older and playing heavy minutes. That I'm sure he's a little banged up, but I think he's fine. I think he's just been he hasn't shot it as well as he did early in the year and as well as he's capable of, and we certainly feel like he's more than got it in him to come out and put on the kind of performance that we've seen from him this year and that we've seen a lot from him in St. Louis. And then tell me the first part of your question again, Harry.
Well, I just wondered if his numbers have dropped off somewhat significantly late in the year, and I just wondered if it was due to fatigue.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, to answer that part of the question here, I don't think it is. Obviously is one of our is our best player, one of our 3 or 4 guys that that need to score for us. He gets a lot of attention, but we've been able to free him up, and he's been able to get himself freed up, and just hasn't shot it as good as he's capable of. But like I said, I know he knows, and we certainly know how he's played in St. Louis and how he's played for us and what he's capable of, and I won't be surprised to see him play great on Friday.
He had a pretty outstanding finish to the season last year.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament in St. Louis, and really 2 years in a row in St. Louis, he's played great, and I guess both NCAA tournaments he's played really well. So like I said, we got a bunch of confidence that he's going to play good this weekend.
Thanks, Ben. We'll see you when you get here.
Okay, thanks.
Coach, that was your last one. Appreciate it. Travel safe. We'll see you in a couple days.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Jake. Next up is Coach Brian Wardle of Bradley. Bradley playing the second game on Thursday in our opening round, playing Drake, a team they had just faced on Saturday. It's one of 3 matches I mentioned earlier, 3 rematches from the regular season finales on Saturday, playing their first opponent again in St. Louis. At this time, I'd like to welcome Coach Brian Wardle to the line. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Brian, just the thoughts on the rematch with Drake. Not the best scenario for any of the 6 teams involved in that, but talk a little bit about playing the Bulldogs right away, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, it's very scary game. You're playing a team a third time, and you just played them a couple days ago. And I think anytime you have that as a coach, you prefer not to do that. But we got to do a good job of guarding the 3-point line. We got to contain the dribble better. There's a lot of things we can do better than we did on Saturday. So we're going to use these couple days as just a lot of teaching moments and try to tighten some things up before we see them again on Thursday night.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Brian Wardle.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star 1 for questions. Your first question comes from the line of John Title with HD.com.
Hi, Coach. Just wanted to know about your team's improvement this year. You had a long season last year with 27 losses. This year, you're the number 7 seed and same conference record as the number 6 seed. How has your team been able to improve so much in 1 year?
Well, we had a good recruiting class. I love our freshman class and our newcomers that we brought in, including JoJo Glaston. We've matured a little bit as the year's gone on. I mean, the reality is, and I've had to remind myself and the staff, is, when you're 349 in experience, you're going to have some ups and downs, and you're going to have some bumps in the road, and we definitely had that throughout the year, but we've stuck to the process of improving every day, of giving great effort, staying together, keep trying to control what we can control, and the results will come. And I think, our guys got a little bit of confidence now. They understand they can play with anybody. If we do these things well, we can win games. And So it was nice for them to finish on a 3-game, as I tell them, one game winning streaks, 3 in a row. I mean, and it was just good for our young guys to understand how confident and aggressive they got to remain through the ups and downs of a game. And, hopefully we go in this tournament with a little bit of swagger to us and understanding that we have nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and play some basketball and see what happens.
Your next question comes from the line of Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Hey, Brian. Just wanted to ask you if you could elaborate a little bit on the advantages and disadvantages of playing Drake again so quickly. Obviously, your scout's pretty fresh, but maybe if you could just touch on, what's good and what's bad about playing them right away.
Well, they got a chip on their shoulder, I'm sure. We were able to catch them 2 times this year. So I'm sure Jeff is going to really get them fired up to come in and do some things better against us like I would, and I'm going to try to get our guys with that same chip on their shoulder. It's just so fresh. I think there's some things that they're going to say, we just got to do these things better and we'll win, and we're going to say the same thing. And they're a scary team. I think they're playing really hard still right now. Drake is. Jeff's got them playing really hard. They're really competing. When I watched the game on Saturday, both teams really gave a lot of effort on both sides of the ball and really wanted to win. And so that's always a tough team to play when you go into a tournament, is a team almost playing desperate and playing with that good effort. So we're going to have to bring it, and we're going to have to play well. And they're familiar with us. We're familiar with them. And it's just going to be probably a dogfight on Thursday night.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Yeah, Brian, you kind of answered this about your 3-game streak at the end there. Anything in particular that's happened over those last couple of games, number one? And then number two, what are your most vivid memories from your first Arch Madness encounter last year?
Well, for the first question, we've rebounded the ball better, taking care of the basketball better offensively. I think those are huge keys for us, is that when we defend and rebound and we take care of the basketball, we've been scoring a lot of points down the stretch and shooting the ball better. That has a lot to do with our freshman guards. I think they've done a great job of taking care of the basketball and making good decisions. So we got to continue that. That's going to be a huge key Thursday night. My memory is just, I've always, growing up, I remembered Arch Madness and I remember the Missouri Valley Tournament, and I just love how professional the tournament is. There's a buzz, there's an excitement as soon as you enter the hotel and the city about it. And I think this year, it's just an exciting year because everyone has played each other so close and so tight. Now, obviously, Wichita and Illinois State separated themselves, but when it comes to a neutral floor and back-to-back games and less preparation at this time of year, anything can happen. And all you got to do is be better for 2 hours. And matchups play such a huge part of it. So last year, I know our guys played their hearts out. We played very well in the game against Loyola, and it was a good experience for them. And, I think they're excited to get back there and perform a little bit better.
And if I may, Brown, I know he played, 25 minutes or whatever the other day. I know he was dinged up a little bit. How is he?
He's still a little bit sore. He's playing through it. There's no damage to it where we got to be, cautious about it. But he obviously wanted to play for his team, and he had a great second half for us. He made a lot of plays for us to win the game. So it was good for him to get a little burn before we go into St. Louis, too. If he had to sit a couple games out and then go into his first conference tournament, I'd be a little cautious about that. But it was good for him to get out on the floor, get a feel, see that he could play and move and cut and on it, and we'll go from there. But these couple of days of rest are huge for him.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning.
All right.
We'll see you in St. Louis.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. We do have Coach Paul Lusk of Missouri State with us. The Bears opening up the tournament with the 8:30 game on Friday to face Northern Iowa, a team they split with during the regular season, both teams winning on the other's home court. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Paul Lusk to the phone. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing?
Good. Both games with Northern Iowa close. You got up to a big lead at their place and hung on, but they ended up both being a couple possession game. Talk about the Panthers a little bit, and then we'll open it up for some questions from the media.
Well, obviously, they have a great program. They've had a lot of success everywhere, but in particular the last couple of years in St. Louis, they've got some guys that have won that tournament. Obviously, Jeremy Morgan is a terrific player. Carlson I think he was all tournament over there last year in St. Louis, and Cook is very good. So they're a good team. They're gonna always give themselves a chance. They're well coached, and our last time that we played them, it was a low scoring game. And Morgan, he willed them to the win.
Thanks, Paul. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions for Coach Paul Lusk.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star 1 for questions. Your first question comes from the line of John Feidel with HD.com.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned Jeremy. I believe he's averaging 23 points a game against you in the 2 games this year. So I 100% agree with you that it's important to focus on him. Is it like a team effort, or do you just assign one defender and try to coach him up to play even better, or what's the plan for Jeremy?
Well, that's a great question. We got such a big lead at their place that he got very aggressive and just really hurt us. And then really coming into our game a couple of weeks ago, he was shooting poor percentages. And he made 5 threes, and I don't think any of them were assisted on. I think they were all dribble, pull up, and just be better than the guy that's in front of him. So, he's just a good player. I don't know that it's any one guy, but he really got going last game. He came in here, and he had been struggling shooting the basketball. And I think out of his 5 threes, none of them were off the catch and shoot. They were just over, off the dribble, making plays and using his 6'5" frame to jump up over us. So I know he didn't have a great game at Northern Iowa, but you always have to prepare for him because he is the heart and soul of the team. Even when he's not scoring, he makes others better.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1.
Paul, nothing else in the queue for you. Appreciate you joining us today. We'll see you in St. Louis, and good luck against Northern Iowa.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Next coach with us is Coach Barry Hinson of Southern Illinois. The Salukis are the 4 seed, tying for 3rd place, losing the tiebreaker with Northern Iowa. And they'll play Loyola, again, a rematch of our regular season finale. They got past the Ramblers in Carbondale the other night. The 4-5 game is at 2:30 on Friday in our quarterfinals. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Barry Hinson to the line. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Michael.
Loyola again. I know that's not the greatest scenario for any of the coaches that are involved in doing that, but talk a little bit about the Ramblers, and then we'll open it up for some questions from you.
Well, they're a tough matchup for anybody, as proven by what they've done. They're either 9th or 8th in the entire NCAA in field goal percentage. Porter and his staff have done a phenomenal job, and you can't. We got off to a great start. It was senior night. We played on a lot of emotion to start the game, but they're so explosive and they're such a high-powered offense that you can't ever take a break. None of it surprised me. I thought this game would go down to the wire, and it certainly did. And I'm just telling you, the game on Friday at 2:30 may be one of the best games of the day because it's going to go right down to the wire.
Thank you, Coach, and let's open it up now for questions for Coach Barry Hinson, questions from the media.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star 1 for questions. Your first question comes from the line of John Tidal with HD.com.
Hi, Coach. I know you're focused on the task at hand, but if you could look ahead just for a second. You got swept by Illinois State this year, but both games were under 7 points or 7 points or less. So how were you able to keep it close, and what's the key to success against them?
Well, when you're 0-2, I don't know if you've had key to success. So I kind of like to hang around you. If you think 0-2 with those guys is 7, that'd make me feel a little bit better. But we haven't had success against them. So, playing close is not what we're trying to do. But and you're right, the task at hand is obviously Loyola. But let me just say this about Illinois State. I think the thing that makes them so dangerous and so hard to play against is their length. And you have to be able to score in the half court. You're not going to score in transition against these guys. They're so good and they're so athletic. And we were patient at Bloomington. We didn't panic. We got down 10. They came out and made a huge run on us to start the second half, and our guys just didn't panic. And I think that's pretty much speaks well for everybody in college basketball. If you don't panic, you just kind of hang in there, and it's easier said than done. But maybe that's one of the things that we've been able to do best.
Your next question comes from the line of Todd Hefferman with the Southern Newspaper.
Barry, with Loyola, is Andre Jackson the toughest matchup for you, or is it Doyle, or is it Ingram, or is it somebody else?
Todd, I think they all are. I mean, I think, you saw the other night, Custer just lit us up, and we didn't do a good job guarding him at all, and I even yelled that at Michael at one time, and we've got to be able to give Michael some rest, but we just didn't have the opportunity the other night. With the margin of error in the game, Michael played entirely way too many minutes, but at the time we just didn't have a lot of margin for error with our substitutions. So we elected to stay in, and Porter and them did a great job. They wore him down, and Doyle causes us problems because they post him up so much, and you have to kind of change your defensive philosophy guarding these guys. Jackson is really unique because he's a 6'5" postman that can shoot the three, that can bring you out on the floor, and when you come out and get on him, he's got such an explosive first dribble. And I think the thing that makes him more dangerous than anything is after he picks up the dribble. His pivots and his shot fakes are really his footwork's really impressive. And then you throw in the other guys, Richardson can score, and Ingram, which just blew us away at Chicago. I mean, Todd, it's Golden State in my opinion. I mean, we're guarding Golden State. You guard them in transition. They can pull up off the three, the dribble. They're extremely difficult to guard, and as evident by our two games.
Thank you.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1.
Barry, that's it. Thanks for your time. We'll see you in St. Louis. Good luck against Loyola on Friday.
See you Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Barry. Just a follow-up note to Coach Hinson, we have had 9 overtime games in league play this year. Just the closeness of the games this year. 9 overtimes is the most since the 2008-9 season when we also had 9. The last time we had more than that was back in 2006 when we had 10 regular season conference overtime games that year. At this time, we do have Coach Marty Simmons of Evansville with us. Evansville opening up the tournament with a game against Indiana State. It's the first game of the tournament on Thursday, March 2nd, in the opening round, 6 o'clock Central. At this time, we will welcome Marty to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Another game with Indiana State. Saturday was the last one, a 2-point game and an overtime game at their place. We can probably expect another close game between Evansville and the Sycamores, I presume. But let's talk about your matchup, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I mean, they're always hard to play against. Greg sets his team up as well as anybody, especially against us. And they've got smart, tough, competitive guys that really get after it, and makes for a tough matchup for us. Clemens he's just a terrific all-around player. I mean, he does everything. Super competitor, one of the most competitive guys I've competed against. And then you take Scott, and Scott is just a terrific offensive player. Scores in a lot of different ways, and they've got their inside guys are playing terrific, scoring the basketball, and they can spread you out because they can really shoot it, and they're athletic and quick where they can put it on the floor. So just a tough team to compete against.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Marty Simmons.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantagraph.
For whoever wins the game Friday night, how tough of a turnaround is that? 16 hours later to have to play Illinois State, and how does the team that wins that game? I mean, how do you approach that night as far as afterwards?
Oh, I'm not sure, Jim. We'll cross that bridge if we're fortunate enough to get there. I mean, I think this time of year, whatever, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old guys are just excited about the opportunity to get a chance to compete again. So hopefully it's something we have to deal with, Jim.
Thanks, Marty.
Your next question comes from the line of John Title with HD.com.
Hey, Coach. Last year you were the number 2 seed and were literally a basket away from winning it all. Now you have slipped off of that, obviously, because you lost so much talent over the season from last year to this year. Does your approach or your style or your planning change when you're a quote-unquote favorite as a 2 seed versus when you're a quote-unquote less than favorite as an 8 seed?
Not really. I mean, it's the respect that I have for the teams and the coaches and the players in this league. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, I think any coach would tell you, I mean, you're just trying to do anything and everything you can to have a chance to win that first game to advance. So I don't think anything changes for us. We got a difficult opponent, and we're going to have to play great to have a chance to win, and that's where our focus is.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1.
Marty, no more questions in the queue for you. Thanks for your time this morning, and good luck against Indiana State in the tournament.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Coach. And we'll hold for just a moment. Coach Porter Moser is our next scheduled coach in 2 minutes. A couple of other conference notes to share as we get ready for Coach Moser. We will announce our all-conference team at 10 o'clock Central from the Valley website on tomorrow, 10 o'clock Central, followed by a 2:30 conference call of our specialty award winners at that time at 2:30. It's the same number you dialed in this morning and same passcode. So we'll have our Larry Bird Player of the Year, our Defensive Player of the Year, our Newcomer of the Year, Freshman of the Year, and the Sixth Man of the Year will all be available for a conversation at 2:30 on tomorrow. And we do have Coach Porter Moser on the line with us. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike.
Let's talk about another rematch. We have 3 of those where a team's playing the team right away after playing them on Saturday. I know it's not the best scenario for you or anybody else, but talk about playing Southern Illinois right back at it again.
Well, not the best scenario for us. We were kind of like, because Sean O'Brien's been an absolute terrific first-team All-League player against, and he is really hard to guard, and he's terrific. I just think that kid is Barry and their staff has done a great job developing him. They put him in great spots to be successful. And then I think the other guys are playing well too. I mean, I think Southern's really played well. I thought Barry and his staff have done a great job. I mean, those kids play hard, they defend, and they just kind of feed off each other.
Thank you, Porter. Let's get now to questions for Coach Porter Moser. Questions from the media.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your first question comes from the line of Todd Hefferman with the Southern Newspaper.
Porter, you really you guys won the first game and really had Wichita on the ropes last year at the tournament. You got a lot of guys coming back. Do you feel like this is a veteran team that you expect them to play well on a neutral floor on Friday?
We didn't win our first game against Southern.
I mean, last year at the tournament, the Valley tournament, you won your first game. You were weren't you one of the play-in games? Then you almost
we've actually won one game at least each of our 3 years in the Valley so far, and I think I guess we didn't even think of that about what we did last year. I don't think all our focus is Southern Illinois. We've got to find a way to compete and try to defend them and beat them. They've gotten us twice, and we got to find a way. And that's pretty much all our focus. We haven't even talked about neutral floor or last year when we didn't. It's all day yesterday. All our conversation's been about is how are we going to stop Southern.
Doyle played a little bit post-up game the second time. I don't know if he did the first time, but is he a more dangerous player on the perimeter for you?
No, he's versatile. He really is. I mean, I've always said Milton's best attribute is his vision. I think he's really one of our better guys in this league of coming off ball screens. I think he's got a change of pace off ball screens. I think he's a willing passer off ball screens. He's taller. He can see over guys. But he's also good in the post. I mean, he can pass out of the post. He's not too sped up, so you know we're trying to utilize him in some different situations.
Thanks.
No problem.
Your next question comes from the line of John Title with HD.com.
Hi, Coach. I know you have a gazillion great three-point shooters on your team, and that's not the strongest part of Andre's game per se, but I believe he's made 4 of 7 over the past 4 games. Is there any thinking to giving him a few more shots, or is it some situation where you've already got enough three-point shooters, so you don't want to force the issue with him?
No, he knows. We work on it in practice with him. He's got the green light to shoot it. He falls into some. I love that he doesn't force them, but he falls into some open ones. Especially benefiting people having to gear up on Milt. But he can definitely knock it down. I mean, he does it in practice. We shoot it in practice with him. It's just something that if he has it, he knows he can step into it, and if it's a good shot, he can take it. But I like the fact that he's a threat. It helps us in ball screen stuff that he's a threat, and he's got the green light.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Porter, can you just talk a little bit about the balance in the league? Obviously, the top 2 teams are, head and shoulders out there, but the whole rest of the league, all the overtime games, tight games between teams, just talk about the balance in the league.
I think the coaches will say this because we have the firsthand knowledge of playing each other. And, obviously Wichita and Illinois State just separated themselves as elite teams. And then when you look at the rest of the league, some person who doesn't know the Valley or followed us will look at that and say, well, the league's down. Well, I think the opposite. I think you got 2 elite teams, and then I think 3 through 10, it's proven anybody can beat anybody, and it's been balanced. And I just think that because the games are close, because I think it's every night it's been very, very difficult. 3 through 10, and I think from 3 to 8, 3 to 10, it's stronger than it was last year. I really do. It's just you got 2 elite teams that just kind of completely separated themselves, and in my opinion, are 100% NCAA tournament teams, regardless of what happens in St. Louis. I believe that every bone in my body watching those TT, and I watch a ton of games throughout the year, and I just think those 2 are NCAA teams, and I think 3 through 10, it's better than it's been, because I think all of those teams are better at the bottom than they were in the last couple of years. And I just have a different spin when someone looks at the record and say, well, the rest of the league's down. I think that's false. I just think 3 through 10 is better than they've been, and you got 2 elite teams.
Thanks, Porter. See you in town.
Hey, thanks, Harry.
Thanks, Coach. Couldn't agree with you more. Appreciate your time this morning, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
All right, Mike. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Rounding out to Coach Jeff Rutter of Drake. We'll have him on momentarily. Another follow-up statistical note following Porter's comments. Missouri State has been in games decided by 3 points or less, in games that they've lost by 3 points or less 7 times this year, only bested twice by 2 schools, Mercer and Bryant nationally. Loyola's been in 6 of those games, and Indiana State 5 of those games. Missouri State, Indiana State both losing 3 overtime games this year among the national leaders in that category as well. At this time, we do have Coach Jeff Rutter of Drake with us. Drake will play Bradley in the 8:30 game on Thursday in the opening round. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. I sound like a broken record this morning, asking each coach to recap their opponent that just played on Saturday. It's going to happen 3 times, and you're in one of those games playing Bradley again. Talk about the Braves and what needs to happen for you to be on the winning side of the ledger this time.
Well, it starts with rebounding for us. Obviously, we got doubled up on the boards. They had 20 offensive boards. Dante Thomas was a beast. Barr was very effective as well. A very talented team. But again, it starts with rebounding, and for us, not only position rebounding, but need to be far more physical and tough.
And a non-basketball question for you, but what had, I guess, a comment, but what you had done for Jacob Enevold on Saturday won Twitter. Quite an emotional day in Des Moines with his parents coming from Denmark.
Yeah, that was very special, Mike. Something that his parents really had planned since the summer. Pretty amazing that secret was able to be kept that long. But for everyone that saw the video, it certainly was kept, and Jacob was incredibly surprised. It was very emotional. And yeah, one of the best things that I've certainly seen on Senior Day, and really happy for Jacob and his parents. They're an awesome family, and that was just a great way for that to happen.
Yeah, quite a moment. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Jeff Rutter.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your first question comes from Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Hi, Jeff.
Good morning, Dave.
Hey, could you just kind of discuss the advantages, disadvantages of playing a team you've just played a few days ago?
Yeah, well, let's see. I guess the advantages for both teams, the preparation, with your team is still very fresh. So hopefully, just that familiarity, the consistency helps, with the team as they formulate their game plan, and, just the confidence that your team will have on both sides of the floor with what you're trying to do. Now, with that being said, there certainly could be some tweaks to that game plan, but I think just from like a personnel standpoint and some tendencies, I think that's certainly an advantage for both teams. The disadvantage, I'm not sure there is one for Bradley, but for us it would be, we've come up on the wrong end of it both times, and for us to be able to, be strong enough, mentally to get past that, and but obviously they've got the confidence, on their side of being able to beat us twice this year. So we've got a disadvantage for us having to be able to overcome that, not where we've got that confidence of gaining a win like we have against some of the other teams in the league.
And then just to follow up, your team hasn't shot or scored as well away from Des Moines this year. Is there any particular reason why that's been the case?
Yeah, that's a good question. One that's been asked before. I wish I had a better answer other than hesitation here. Dave, I think that, the approach we need to take is looking at, some of the stretches of play that we have had on the road, some good stretches of play that we have had on the road, and, maybe looking at, just some things that we were doing during those stretches. But quite honestly, I think more than anything else, we're a team that kind of thrives on the perimeter shot, whether it be the 3 or, even a mid-range. And as we all know, it's a little bit easier when maybe you've got some shots around the bucket, or you're getting to the foul line a little bit more just to kind of diversify your scoring. But when you're relying so much on that perimeter shot, there's just kind of law of averages, and maybe in particular when you're away from home, just, the unfamiliarity of the settings, and, maybe that plays into it. I don't know. But it's just something we need to be able to overcome. We know that, we know we're a good shooting team. That is a strength of our team. We need to put our best foot forward by, at the very least, playing with pace and tempo and getting good movement away from the ball, creating good opportunities for shots, and at least being able to rise up and take some good ones. Hope that helps, Dave.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. See you in a couple days.
Thank you, Dave. Safe travels.
Thanks.
Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Jeff, two quick ones. You guys have obviously been on a streak here that's not positive. How do you keep them positive? You seem to be a very positive guy, number one. And then number two, you've been around the tournament as an assistant coach. Just give me a few of your thoughts about going in there as a head coach.
Yeah, appreciate the questions, Perry. From a, just a mindset standpoint, I think, quite honestly, from day one, having a chance to take over, we shared with the guys that, this is going to be a partnership. We're going to do this thing together. We got your backs. They got our backs. Meaning players and staff. We're together on this deal. No one's going to take themselves too serious. We're going to try to enjoy the journey and help provide a great experience for these guys. So, one of those like never too high, never too low deals, and trying to be objective with some things. And you mentioned it. Try to see the glass, half full, and just to take that approach. Try to put your best foot forward, heading into each game. So they're a high character group, and with the approach that we've taken, they've latched onto that. And honestly, they've really given us, really good effort. Time in and time out. I can only think of a handful of times during the stretch where, you're disappointed maybe with some effort or just some focus and execution. I mean, more times than not, they're bringing it. We've got strengths, we've got deficiencies, a lot of factors that go into winning and losing, but we've had a lot of stretches of good play, just as we did last Saturday, and just got to concern ourselves with the controllables. In regards to the tournament itself and having been an assistant, back at UNI, with Coach McDermott, and then the last 3 years with Coach Giacoletti, and now heading down there as a head coach. It's kind of the next game, to be honest with you. I mean, we're really locked in. We feel like we really got through that last game on Saturday and analyzed it, and picked through it. Feel we've got a good plan on what we want to work on here the next couple days, what we need to shore up. So excited. Excited about the opportunity. Still feel very confident that our group can finish strong. Broken record, we've been saying it over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but again, we've had a lot of good stretches of play and just need to find a way to control those runs and gaps and make big plays when we need them, and we're more than capable of it. So I think it's more just locked in on the task at hand than anything else, and we're really confident that we can go down there and play well and finish strong.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll see you when you get here.
Very good. Thank you.
Coach, that was your last question. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
Very good, Mike. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. We do have Coach Dan Muller of Illinois State with us, so we'd like to welcome Coach Muller to the phone. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the title and the number 1 seed. It's certainly an exclamation point with a big win at Northern Iowa, a place where the Redbirds have not had success, but congratulations on the 17-1 conference mark and the top overall seed.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pretty exciting day for our team, and proud of the group, what they've done so far.
Thanks, Dan. Let's get out of questions for you. Your first opponent will be either Evansville or Indiana State, depending on who wins that game. You'll play at noon on Friday, but questions for Coach Dan Muller, questions from the media.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantagraph.
Good morning, Dan.
Hey, Jim.
Could you just talk a little bit about how you prepare this week, how you're going to structure practices, obviously not knowing your opponent until about 16 hours before game time?
Yeah. We had yesterday off and today off. they'll get a lift in today and a stretch. We'll practice tomorrow. We'll go pretty hard tomorrow, Jim. Wednesday, our class schedule is not real conducive for a great day, so we don't get out of class till 5 p.m. Wednesday. So I'm not sure what time we're going to practice Wednesday yet, but we'll head down Wednesday night. Thursday morning, we'll practice before the luncheon since we play early, and Thursday will be very light. And then, we'll prepare for both. We'll take the main actions, I think. My plan is to just try to prepare. Obviously, there's a lot of familiarity, but just try to get them ready for the main things we'll see so that once the game's over Thursday night, we can kind of go back to the practice stuff and a lot of film at that point.
Can you draw back on your experiences from 19, 20 years ago? Not know if you can remember that far back about kind of as a player, your mindset as far as not knowing who you would play until pretty close to game time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jim, I can't. The only thing I can tell you that I'm pretty sure I remember is I could have cared less who we played. I don't think we really, as players, were too focused on that. I don't know if it's the same these days. I think there's a lot more focus on information these days with kids because of what's out there. And so I don't remember too exactly how we felt, but I don't think we focused too much on it.
And we talked a little bit about this the last couple of weeks, but as far as talking with the team about what you guys need to do in St. Louis with the NCAA tournament, how much are you going to bring that up? And do your players really they seem like they've really kind of put that to the back of their minds, at least publicly?
Yeah, I plan to do it the same as we've talked about and really stay focused on the process. But I certainly will address it because it's going to be addressed with them, with their families, and on social media and other avenues. So I'm not going to ignore it. I just don't want to make it a focus. We want to play really good basketball Friday, and then if we continue to win, just try to keep that mindset.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Congratulations, Dan, and the week off, or nearly a week off for Mikhail. That's got to help him quite a bit. I watched you guys. He's still a little limping. Obviously, he played well through the tough knee.
Right. Yeah, hopefully it will. He'll practice a little more tomorrow, obviously today and yesterday off. He's only played 22, I think he's been at 22 and 23 minutes each game he's been back. And we've been able to go pretty light the days after games or days off. Obviously, it's going to be a different situation this weekend. So the entire time, Harry, we try to be careful with him while also trying to get him some practice time. And that's all I'm going to do this week. Time heals all wounds, including physical. So hopefully he's feeling better this weekend than he has up to this point. But it's just hard to tell, to be honest. Everybody's bodies are different. Does he tweak it in a game? Does he tweak it in a practice? But we'll try to be careful with him.
Tomorrow they'll be announcing Player of the Year and the all-conference teams and all that. Do you even think about, man, I hope my guys get noticed, or is that even something on a coach's mind this time of year?
No, absolutely it is. We can't control it, obviously. We're not allowed to vote for our own players, which is a good rule. But I'm hopeful, without a doubt. And I know there's multiple deserving guys for each award. I know that. But I'm hopeful for the guys. I've got 3 or 4 or 5 guys that I hope can win awards or get on certain teams. But it comes down to who voted for who.
Appreciate it. We'll see you when you get in town.
Thank you.
Dan, that was the last question. Appreciate it, and we will see you in a couple days. Good luck in the tournament. See you on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. This time we'd like to welcome Coach Greg Marshall to the phone with us. The Shockers have won 12 in a row, claimed the title for a 4th straight year, 5th in the last 6 years, sitting at 17-1 lead, played 27-4 overall. The number 2 seed will play the winner of the Bradley-Drake game at 6 o'clock on Friday. Bradley and Drake, of course, playing on Thursday at 8:30. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Greg Marshall. Morning, Coach.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
First of all, congratulations on another title. Great work by you and your team again this year.
Thank you. We weren't so sure coming out of the summer, but our guys have just continued to work, and they've gotten better individually and collectively. My staff has put together great game plans and really worked hard in preparation. And it's come together. We're playing some pretty good basketball now.
Thank you, Coach. We're not going to ask you to preview your first opponent because you don't know who it is, but let's get to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Greg Marshall from the media.
To ask a question, press star followed by the number 1. Your first question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with ValleyHoopsInsider.com.
Greg, it seems like Landry is just getting better almost like by the period, like second half better than first half, this game to the next game. Can you talk just a little bit about how he's kind of just taken over here at the late part of the season?
Yeah, he's first of all, a tremendous kid, and he's a hard worker. He's fun to coach. Coach Heyer told me the other day, he goes, I just love coaching him because you tell him something once and he's got it. And you maybe have to show him once and he's got it. So that's gratifying from a coaching staff perspective. We kind of knew what we had last year, and we tried to tell the national folks, when Fred was hurt, and then Landry started the third game of his career and then went down with a broken foot. We said, we don't have just Fred Van Vliet hurt. We have Connor Frankamp not eligible till the middle of December as a transfer, and then this really good freshman is also now out. But no one knew at that point other than maybe his high school coach and his mom and his granddad and the coaching staff here. We knew what we had. So it's been nice. It's unfortunate he missed all of last year other than those 3 games because he could have really helped us. But once we handed him the ball in early to mid-January and to assume the role as a point guard, I think he just took off and is arguably the best player in the league from that point forward, and has had a great impact on our success.
Thanks, Greg, and congratulations.
Thanks, Harry.
Again, to ask a question, press star followed by the number 1.
Coach, looks like that's it for you. We'll see you in St. Louis. Travel safe, and good luck in the tournament this week.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Follow-up notes on Landry Shamet. Led the league in three-point field goal percentage at 52% in league play, 58% in the last 9 games, making nearly 3 a game in that span. We'll ask the beat writers to stay on the line for a quick roundtable of beat writers. Everyone else can please disconnect at this time. Thank you for joining us this week.
And converges under the gleaming reflection of Arch Madness. Don't miss the 2017 State Farm MDC Men's Basketball Championship, March 2nd through 5th at Scott Trade Center, presented by Aetna and Fox Sports Midwest. Get your tickets and get on the road to Arch Madness as 10 Missouri Valley teams battle it out for a final march to Selection Sunday. Get your tickets and get to St. Louis for Arch Madness.